Well, 2 years ago, on July 23rd, a little piece of Brockville's history was destroyed by a fire when it was struck by lightning. The 162-year-old 5 Mile Lighthouse had been the last remaining in a series of 9 wooden lighthouses on the Canadian side of the St. Lawrence River that dated back to 1856. So it was a very sad day for the locals. It seemed like the end of an era, but today a lighthouse stands on Brockville's Cole Shoal again. Local people raised enough money to have a replica of the original lighthouse built. Darlene Burns had been able to look at that lighthouse from her house for decades. She was also one of the people behind the idea to rebuild. And Andrew Melchers is a local engineer who designed how that work would be done. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Darlene, first, can you describe that original lighthouse? What was the view from your window every morning for decades?
Well, we've lived here for 40 years, and the whole front of our house is windows. So the lighthouse is immediately south to us. And every morning we get up to look at this beautiful structure. And, of course, over the years, 40 years, it needed some repair. It's a white, iconic structure. But the great part was in the morning, the sun shining on it. In the evening, just the dusk and the moon, and it was just so beautiful to see every day.
And you did see it every day up until that fateful day. What did it mean to the community, do you think, if you go back to before the fire?
Well, my goodness, it was, as I said, an iconic landmark, but fishermen, boaters, ships from all around the world. It sits almost at what they call crossover point, where, ships from around the world come from the U.S. side to Canada and then going upstream from Canada to U.S. So it basically was there to protect people from the shoals, and everybody would see it when they went down the St. Lawrence. So we just a very, very prominent piece of the St. Lawrence in this area.
What do you remember, Darlene, about that night of July 23rd, 2018?
Oh, it was like yesterday, really. The clouds, the wind came up very strongly. The clouds were just so dark. And then we saw this bright flash of light and a thunderous crack. My husband and I were in the back of the house, the opposite side of the river, and we both said, that has to be close by. And soon after, the fire trucks came, roaring down our little road here at Hudson Point. I ran to the riverside, and there's the lighthouse had just been struck. And so I grabbed my camera, and within 25 minutes, it was just, I can hardly talk about it, but within 25 minutes, that structure was gone. It was terrible.
Completely destroyed.
Completely destroyed to rubble. It was just rubble, nothing more than a few ashes and some steel in a pit, Yes.
Could have been gone forever. Many people would have said, well, it was the last of 9. It was looking a little dishevelled maybe before the fire had hit. That is the end of that. But not so. The idea of rebuilding came up.
Well, absolutely. It was interesting. The very next day, our neighbor said, let's have a GoFundMe. I don't know if you want me to get into the history, how that all came about in terms of how we started the fundraising. But
well, we maybe won't have time for all of that. I want to get to Andrew as well and get his involvement in the project. But you were clear from very soon after that fire that you wanted to rebuild.
Absolutely. We started a GoFundMe page, and then my husband said, well, we need a committee to do this project. So, and he said, we need a prominent chairperson. And without hesitation, he called Bob Runciman, and Bob Runciman said, yes, I will chair this. And he was happy to do so, and we went into fundraising.
Fundraising there. So now you needed a lot of technical help as well. Andrew, how did you get involved?
Yeah, so right around the time the lighthouse burned down, I just started my own engineering firm. My favorite part about being an engineer is just serving the community, so I reached out to Darlene and said, I think you guys are going to need an engineer on this team, and I'm more than willing to volunteer my time to make sure it's built and built properly.
I don't know that I've ever met anyone who's built a lighthouse or designed a lighthouse before. Had you? You hadn't, I take it, built one before?
No, I am a structural engineer, so I've worked on various different types of projects. But definitely never a lighthouse. So for me, it's kind of a project of a lifetime. I don't think I'm ever going to get another chance to design another lighthouse. But it's great to look out there and see something that you built in the middle of the river.
For sure, and it was the middle of a river. What did it involve? You're dealing with a little scraggy rock. You're dealing with a lot of ruined wood, and a lot of complex technical engineering that would have had to go on to do this work.
That's right, yeah. So the first thing we did is, I think Darlene's husband took me out on a boat to look at the shoal. The old foundation, as you can imagine, it's 160 years old. It was an unreinforced concrete slab, big crack in the middle. There's a lot of undermining under the slab. Also, around that time we had the two big floods in 2017, 2019. So, everybody knew that the foundation was too low, like it sat at the high water mark. So we sent the surveying team out to get some elevations. We pretty much said the foundation was no good, and we went on to figure out how to replace it. And then part of replacing it too was raising it so it won't be affected by future floods. I designed, I think, 3 or 4 different types of foundations. On the recommendation of Kehoe Marine, we decided to go with their kind of signature pile foundation that they do a lot of docks with, and that's what's there today.
That is what's there today. So it's better, much better than it was before, and it won't be destroyed by lightning again.
That's right, yeah. So part of the design was obviously lightning and fire protection. So with that, we are going to be putting lightning rods back on there, so any future lightning strikes will be grounded into the water.
Darlene, when you look out at that structure that's there now, that Andrew has overseen, what is it like to see the lighthouse back in that spot?
It's amazing. It almost looks like it is a replica of the original, and Andrew's done a terrific job with the design, and it's not fully complete yet. There's still a few little minor things to go on, like the railing, but I mean, it is just amazing. It's almost like it was never gone.
And it wasn't gone for that long. I've seen the pictures of that night. I've seen the videos of that night. It was a dramatic fire, completely destroyed. And it has not taken that long. 2 years, Andrew, from that destruction to it being rebuilt. You pleased with the end result?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the committee made some great decisions, and from my perspective, so they decided to go with the traditional timber frame. So it's all wood structure again. Despite what most people might think, that's still really great for fire protection. We got a traditional timber framer here in Brockville to rebuild it, and the contractors and team did a great job with the project. So I'm quite proud of it, and I can't wait to tell my kids that hey, your dad.
See that lighthouse? I made that.
Yeah, that's right.
We can't all say that. Well done. It's a great story, a lovely ending to it. Great to speak to the two of you about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Darlene Burns lives very close to the 5 Mile Lighthouse, one of the people who worked to have it rebuilt, and Andrew Melchers, the owner of a local Brockville engineering company who designed that lighthouse.